Hey there, it's Dusty Thunder with yet another Reddit story for you. This one is, am I the astronaut for telling my sister she's a terrible parent? Throwaway for obvious reasons. So here's the situation. I, 30 male, have a sister, Laura, 32 female, who has a son, Jake, 8 male. Laura and her husband are both busy professionals, and I get that life can be hectic. But lately, I've been really concerned about how they're raising Jake. Last week, I went over to their house for dinner. After dinner, it was a typical evening for their household. Laura was on her phone half the time, and her husband was glued to the TV. Meanwhile, Jake was playing video games in the other room, completely ignored. At one point, I went to check on him, and he was watching some ridiculous YouTube video about pranks. I was shocked and called Laura into the room to show her what he was watching. Her reaction? She brushed it off, saying he was just being a kid and that I was overreacting. I couldn't believe it. This is the kind of stuff that can really mess up a kid's head. So I got a bit heated and told her that the reason this happened in the first place was because she had a kid too young, and that if she's not going to pay attention to him, she shouldn't be surprised when he ends up getting hurt, acting out, or having weird political beliefs. Hold on. I think we should also note at this point that as far as we know at this point in the story, OP does not have kids. I said, you're a terrible parent if you can't even be bothered to monitor what your kid is watching. Let's just say that didn't go over well at all. Laura got upset and started crying like she usually does and called me an arrogant know-it-all. I couldn't help but laugh. I usually do in uncomfortable situations. Her husband backed her up, saying I had no idea what it's like to raise a kid. But honestly, I couldn't just sit back and be complicit in this any longer. They need to hear the truth. Now my parents are caught in the middle and think that I was too harsh and are threatening to kick me out, which would literally make me homeless. They're saying I should have kept my mouth shut and just enjoyed dinner. But I feel like if I don't say something, who will? Will no one stand up for what's right anymore? Am I the astronaut for standing up for what I believe is right, or should I have just let it go? Hold on, OP. Hold on. Okay, I had to scroll back up to the top to make sure I heard your age right. You're 30. You're 30 years old, still living with your parents. Nothing wrong with that. But I think that might be something that you need to consider before you go march into other people's house and start giving them advice about how to live their lives, especially when it comes to an area that you don't understand at all. And this kid is what, 8? 8. He's 8. Yeah, an 8-year-old kid is probably going to watch some YouTube. But look, yes, they need to be involved in monitoring. Yes, the kid's going to play video games. The kid's going to do their own things at some points. There is a decompression point where everybody does their own thing, right? Now, doing that all the time, yes, it's not healthy. However, it's not your place to judge, OP, and I think that's the point, is it's not your place to judge, especially positionally here. When you're still living with your parents, you don't need to go to your sibling and give them life advice. I think that was an asshole move. Now, could they be doing things differently? Sure, every parent can. Marching in and saying you're a shitty parent because you came over and the kid's watching a YouTube video that makes you uncomfortable, maybe a bit of an overstep here. However, we get to get some Candy Thunder feedback on this because y'all just unlocked her. Candy Thunder.
You're so sweet. Okay, so this guy is 30 years old. He goes into his sister's house to have dinner, which I assume a meal that she cooked, and then proceeds to insult her in the worst way, one of the worst ways possible that you can be insulted as a parent, and then tells her what she's doing wrong after she fed him, while all the while living at home with his parents as a 30-year-old male. Is that correct?
Yeah, and again, there's nothing wrong with living with your parents, but I do think that you need to consider that before you go around telling other people how to live their lives, right?
That's where I was going to go, yes. But there is something wrong if you're choosing to live with your parents and then you're going to throw stones at other people that choose to live their lives a certain way. And also the fact that if you're going to get kicked out of your parents' house, your other choice is homelessness. So I don't think you should be telling people how to parent their kids. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, he doesn't have any experience there.
And I mean, some people don't have kids, but they can still offer sound advice. You don't have to take that advice, but they can offer it. But this was not advice. You'd called someone a terrible parent.
Yeah, that's
and
just
they weren't
judgment.
A terrible parent. There's nothing wrong with decompressing. If they, like what I heard was they sat down together as a family, had dinner, and then they all decompressed. There is nothing wrong with that, I don't think, at all. obviously, like, we don't want our kids on their devices 24/7, but there's nothing wrong with decompressing and taking time after you've completed everything for the day. I think that's a normal behavior.
Well, and someone, I would say, pluck a 30-year-old from Joe Random Public anywhere and show them the kind of videos that kids watch now, and they're going to be like, what the hell? That's
Yeah. I mean, the world is different. It moves a lot faster, and not something that everyone loves. But again, you are a 30-year-old male, presumably single, living at home with your parents, and you're trying to give parenting advice to your sister who has a husband and a child and maintains a home. Those two things are not equal. You don't have the life experience to offer advice in this situation. And it wasn't advice. You offered insults and then dug in deeper. And if everyone's pissed at you and you're looking at getting evicted from your parents' house, you done f***ed up, dude.
You might be the asshole.
Yeah.
You might be the asshole there. Yeah, and you're giving off the vibe of somebody who just walks around judging everyone for everything. And I don't know.
I think you need to look at why you're judging everyone for everything. And I think it might be because you don't have your shit together.
It's just like a projected disgruntlement?
Yeah, everything. He's looking for shit everywhere because he feels shitty internally. Hurt people, right? So, yeah. You're trying to look for something that does not exist. And
I wonder if the parenting frustration that he has comes from his own situation with his parents too. You know, I wonder if there's maybe they didn't do. Maybe he looks back now and blames them for where he's at in a kind of failure to launch kind of way, and is taking that out on her. But you're right. He didn't offer any kind of advice. He wasn't solution focused at all. He just went around shitting on her. So
he's like,
you were too young when you got pregnant. Undo that.
Right.
You got to watch what he's watching on YouTube all the time. Sit over his shoulder.
Maybe he's jealous. Maybe he's jealous that she has a family and he felt like in that moment she wasn't paying attention to her family. Dude, families don't need to be together 24/7. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
That's just a surefire way to piss everyone off.
And there is an age where kids start spending a lot more time on their own.
Yeah.
Like they start entertaining themselves.
Yeah.
Navy Thunder's not there yet. Every once in a while she'll go off and play on her own for up to an hour, I'd say, on a really good day. But for the most part, she wants somebody there to play with her.
Where are we going to put this one? Because I have the best Navy tidbit.
Do it now. We got a funny Navy story for you.
Is he ASCON 1 or is he ASCON 2?
It's not an ESH because I don't think Mom did anything wrong here. He definitely shouldn't have done it.
She was doing nothing but fed him.
The question is, does it come from a place of trying to inflict harm, or does he truly believe that he's justified and he's coming from what he believes is the right place?
I think it comes from a place of hurt because he doesn't have what she has, and I think he thinks she's taking it for granted. But
he doesn't realize that.
No, I don't think he does.
I think that would make him a 2 then, because he's got like unconscious motivators, if that makes sense. I would put him at a 2. He's big number 2.
Okay, y'all.
He's a big number 2.